All right, this is the Algebra 2, Unit 4, Lesson 3, and Lesson 4 video. So this video is going to cover material needed to complete Lesson 3 and Lesson 4. And I'll jump over to Lesson 4 here at the end of the video to show you which questions you'll be looking at. So in general, this lesson is about the quadratic formula, which is a method for finding the solutions to quadratic equations. So just a quick recap, remember we are going to be looking at quadratic equations that are in what we call standard form. Standard form you see here is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are the things that we'll be plugging into the formula. We'll talk about that here in a second. So I've got in your notes here, I've got the quadratic formula itself, which is what you use to find the solutions. And then I also have the formula you can use with a, b, and c to find the vertex of a quadratic. So really this is what this is all about. It's about using these formulas given a standard form equation and then plugging everything in and getting to these different answers. Now, I'm going to do an example and then I'm going to kind of tell you kind of your options because just to be completely upfront, you're not 100% required to use the quadratic formula every time because really we know we can solve these equations using a graphing method, and I'll show you what that looks like as we go along. So I'm going to do the example here that I wrote, talk about a couple issues you need to know. So here we have this equation and we want to find the solutions, and we'll also find the vertex of this. So we'll do both. All right, so let's go ahead and start by doing the most important thing here, which is to identify A, B, and C in this equation. Well, remember the standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we're looking at the coefficients of those terms. So the coefficient of my x squared term is the a. Well, there is no coefficient here, so we know that that's a 1. The coefficient of the b term, minus 5x, that's going to be negative 5. And the coefficient of my c term is, or in other words, my constant, is negative 24. So these are the numbers we're going to plug into the quadratic formula. So we'll start by finding the solutions. Again, the formula is as follows. Go ahead and write it out again. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac, it's multiplication there, all over 2a. So we're going to start by just plugging everything in to this equation and begin working it out. So if we plug everything in, we get the following. So again, it's going to be negative 5 because that's what we're talking about here. Negative 5 is the b term. Notice I'm not really doing any simplifying yet. Negative 5 squared. Notice it's in parentheses. Every time I plug something in, I'm going to put it inside parentheses so that I don't miss any operations. Minus 4ac. Let's go ahead and do a is 1. C is negative 24. All over 2 times 1. So in our next step, we're going to begin working everything out. Negative 5 is going to be positive 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared, which is 25, minus 4 times 1 times negative 24. So we'll do 4 times negative 24. That's going to be 96. So minus negative 96. We'll deal with all of that later. And then 2 times 1 is 2. Keep going. Just simplifying. 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 plus 96 all over 2. Keep working this out. We get, 5 plus or minus the square root of, that's going to be 121 all over 2. Notice it takes a lot of steps to do this. You just have to be super careful about your operations. 5 plus or minus 11, because the square root of 121 is 11 over 2. And at this point, notice that this equation says 5 plus or minus 11 divided by 2. So really we have two separate things going on. We have 5 plus 11 divided by 2. We have 5 minus 11 divided by 2. And so we're actually going to solve all the way through. And 5 plus 11 is 16 divided by 2 is 8. 5 minus 11 is negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. And so those are my two solutions. The solutions are 8 and negative 3. Those are the solutions. So you can see it's really just simple arithmetic for the most part. You just have to be careful to plug everything in correctly and work it all the way out to the end. So that's the solutions. And now let's look at our vertices. So for number 2, or our vertex. We're going to find our vertex. The vertex formula says to do negative b over 2a for the x value, and then negative b squared minus 4ac over 4a for the second part. Negative b squared minus 4ac over 4a. Now, we actually know a lot of this information because we just did some of this work in our previous. So we're going to use what we did to help us. But negative b, remember our a is 1, our b is negative 5, and our c is negative 24. So we have negative 5 over 2 times 1. That's going to be 5 divided by 2, and that's going to be the answer here for the x value, 5 over 2. So that part's already done. I'll go ahead and box that. Now we'll go ahead and work out this other part. We have negative b squared minus 4ac. That was what was inside the parentheses here. So notice that's right there. So that's 121. We don't need to work that out again since we already got 121. 121 divided by 4 times 1. Okay. So we have negative 121 divided by 4. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to a calculator here. Let's do 121 divided by 4. It's 30.25. 30.25 is our answer there. So those are our two x and y values there for the vertex. Now, you can see how much it takes to get the answers this way. So I'm going to show you is what this looks like from a graphic perspective. So let's go back to our original problem, x squared minus 5x minus 24. Let's go ahead and let's type this in here. We'll go x, bring up our, x, well, having a little trouble here. Let's open this up. Sorry about that, everybody. Nope. There we go. X squared minus 5x minus 24. And we can see we have solutions at negative 3 and 8, which is what we found over here. And then let's go look at our vertex. Down here, our vertex is 2.5 and negative 30.25. Of course, I forgot to put the negative there. That's my fault. Should be a negative there. And so I just want you to see how easy it is to do this from a graphic perspective. So I'm basically telling you, you are to use whatever method you prefer. You do not have to do the quadratic formula every time. So just to give you an idea, if you look down here, there's some vocab questions, numbers 1, 2, and 3. Number 4, just identify A, B, and C for that equation right there. That's pretty straightforward. Then find the roots. In other words, you can use the quadratic formula or you can graph it. For number 5 and number 6, same thing. You can graph it or you can find the roots using the quadratic formula. Same thing with number 7, identify A, B, and C. Then find the roots and the vertex. Again, you are welcome to use the graphic method. Same thing with number 10, 11, 12, all the way through to number 14. And then you have some review questions down here. I don't think any of these will give you much trouble. You can go ahead and just skip number 17, and I will fix your answer for that one. But that's pretty much it. Let's jump over to lesson 4. More of the same. Solve using the quadratic formula. Scrolling down, you have vocab. Read over the lesson. Again, identify A, B, and C. That's number 4. Number 5, find the roots. Number 6, find the vertex. So again, more of the same type of problem. And complete the table. You know what to do here. You take each x value, you plug it in for the x values in the equation, and solve for the y value. Number 8, number 9, number 10, all the exact same problems as the previous lesson. Number 11, same thing. Number 12, same thing. Number 13, same thing. Nothing new here. Complete the table. 15 through 17, more of the same. 18, more of the same. So all of this can be done using the graphic method or the quadratic formula. I would recommend the graphic method just because it's a lot more clean. It's a little easier to deal with. Recommend Desmos because Desmos shows you the vertex as well as the roots. So make sure you're thinking along those lines. And then you have some review questions. You can skip number 21 for that one. You don't need to do question number 21. And that is it for lesson 3 and 4.